Hello everyone and welcome to this Meet the Controller session. The controller in question in this instance is of course Angela Jain. You probably know who she is, otherwise you wouldn't be here, but I've pretty much got a CV here, so I'm just going to whip through it just in case to refresh your memories. So Angela was appointed ITV's head of digital channels. If I get anything wrong, just shout.
I'll
okay?
Try not to.
But this is just sort of copy and paste it from Wikipedia, basically. Appointed ITV's head of digital channels and acquisitions in May 2011, taken over from Zaya Bennett. She reports to Peter Fincham, and she oversees all commissioning and scheduling for ITV 2, 3, 4 and CITV. She began her career in children's TV at the BBC, spent many years producing and directing a variety of shows. She series produced T4, and then she was one of E4's 3 launch commissioning editors after a stint at Channel 5, then returned to Channel 4 as head of E4.
The other two are way more successful.
Huh?
The other two are way more successful. There was Danny Cohen. What does he do now?
Never. Danny.
And Damon Beasley. What did he do?
Did he do... Oh, he's that guy. Yeah, he's that guy. Sure. But here you are, in Edinburgh, talking. You love it, right?
Yeah, I love it.
You commissioned the In-Betweeners, Misfits and Phone Shop. You bought Glee. You won Broadcast Channel of the Year in 2011, and you won Digital Channel of the Year here in 2009. This is your first time at the festival with a full year at ITV under your belt. So this is when we really start to ask questions, I think.
Because it was easy last year.
Yeah. Oh, judge me in a year, judge me in a year. Well, I'm here to judge you.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's have a look at what you've been up to this year. So I think a round of applause.
By the way, I had nothing to do with Bradley Wiggins winning the Tour de France.
Did you not?
That's amazing, isn't it? It wasn't amazing, him winning.
That's good for you.
Amazing.
Definitely.
Amazing.
So I think congratulations. A good year for ratings. There was a week in June where ITV 2, 3 and 4 were the country's top 3 digital channels. Do you feel like you can rest on your laurels?
No, not at all. Of course you can't. But nice to have a week like that, wasn't it?
Must have felt
really
quite
nice, first time ever. Not that I'm crowing or anything. No, it's nice. But what it does mean is that obviously you've just got to keep on working as hard as possible in order to just stay there. Because being 1 and 2, which is what ITV 2 and 3 are, often one way, one the other way, means you've got to stay at the top of your game. So some things you do right and some things you do wrong.
Your sort of big returning shows have done well again, Towie and Celebrity Juice. But aside from the Keith Lemon's new reality show, the top 10 of ITV2 is dominated by hits that you've inherited. Do you think you can take credit for their continuing success?
Well, I don't know about taking credit, but as anyone who knows who's been involved in long-running series, keeping them alive and keeping them at the top of their game is just as challenging as commissioning a hit series from the beginning. So I'm not going to take any credit because, of course, it's the production teams that make all those decisions and not me. But it's obviously really nice to have them there, and and to see in Keith Lemon in Celebrity Juice an opportunity to do something else with him, which is why I commissioned La Vida Loca. Because I think he's funny and filthy and rude and channel defining. And if you look at all channels, there's always a couple of shows across every channel which dominate. But the point is that is normal. It's what you do around that as well, which is just as interesting. Yeah,
we just have been hearing quite a lot about the Celebrity Juice thing that happened earlier.
Oh my gosh, did anybody go? I'm still shaking. I'm still shaking.
Where your Keith sort of mimed sucking off your boss.
Yeah, and apparently your picture's up there already.
Yeah.
Perfect. So at least I've got some ammunition now, haven't I? If things ever get really bad, I'll go, Peter, but I didn't do that.
Yeah. We can have a look at a clip from Celebrity Juice that sort of indicates how edgy it gets. I was enjoying it. Do you see the shows before they air?
No. That's why I shit myself every time they go out.
Yeah.
No, I don't, because there's a commissioning editor who watches everything before they go out. But that is what I often say about that show. I often watch it at home like that, thinking, oh my God, has anybody watched it before it went out? But it's nice to be that edgy, I think, on ITV2. And, if ever, sort of channel defining is a phrase that's used a lot and is ascribed to lots of different programmes, but that for us is definitely channel defining.
Do you feel that you you sort of keep the audience afterwards? Do you feel you've got a show that goes in?
No, I mean, and that interesting you should say that, because that's absolutely one of the things. That and Towie, when I arrived, I thought, gosh, this is bonkers. At 10:45 on Wednesdays, Thursdays and Sundays, for weeks and weeks of the year, we don't have shows that hold on to this audience, and we just say goodbye to the audience. There is a sort of practical reason for that. You know, I run commercial channels, and one of the things I have to do is make a return on investment. And ads don't tend to get placed post 11 o'clock. This is all really boring, but probably just interesting in terms of context. So to make a commissioning decision to commission something new for 10:45 is always tough because it's hard to monetize it. So what I've tried to do is do a bit of commission in other slots, but repeat off the back of Celebrity Juice. And so we did that with Totally Bonkers Guinness World Records. It was actually commissioned for an 8 o'clock slot on Tuesdays, and we repeated it off the back of Celebrity Juice, and it did really, really well. And it's not a decision I would have made to, you know, commission it first and put it in that slot, but to be able to repeat it in that slot, I think has really paid off.
Moving on to Towie, it's been a big year with 3 series, but the latest series had its lowest debut since Series 1. And looks like
Gosh, there was something amazing on at the BBC at the same time.
You could always make excuses.
The Olympics.
You could always make
That's
excuses.
once in a lifetime, isn't it? That's a bit harsh.
Yeah, well, just stating the facts. Do you think...
I'm just stating the context.
Yes, well, it's good to. It's good to. We'll both do our thing. Does this show to you that maybe 3 series a year is too much and you're sort of overplaying your strongest hand?
No, I don't think so. I think quite strongly that even when the show is not working, it still delivers 800 to 900,000 at its worst for 45 minutes, twice a week for the number of weeks that each series is on. Any other control of a digital channel would kill for that. So, you know, I'm really happy with it. I think the challenge is always for the production team in terms of stop-starting it, trying to give the cast actually a bit of a break in between the series. So I think we'll probably slightly configure it differently next year, but our commitment roughly will remain the same.
Do you worry at all about Made in Chelsea as a rival, that it got BAFTA nominated? Do you have an affection for it because you commissioned it over at E4?
No, I didn't commission it actually.
Like I say, you didn't.
No, I didn't commission it. Do you know what? There's plenty of space for both those shows, I think. I think Made in Chelsea does a very specific job for E4, and I think Towie does a very specific job for our audience. And clearly there's an appetite for both, so I'm happy that both are on.
Is it difficult to manage some of the Towie cast? Because there's been lots of rumours about them being threatened with the sack due to misbehaviour, being rude to production members and so on. Are the characters becoming too big?
I think it's always a challenge. You know what? It seems bonkers to say this, but it is quite a big commitment that the cast make in terms of filming and hours that they're on screen. Equally, there is a quid pro quo. They do get something out of it, obviously. Listen, your talent, everyone knows that talent's sometimes tricky to manage.
Oh, Christ. Yeah. Have you felt the pressure of having some flops?
Yeah, of course, flops are painful, they're horrible. No one wants to commission a flop. No one goes into a meeting going, let me think now, today I want to commission a flop. You go in with the best will in the world, and you know what, this is a bit of a crapshoot, this job. You just never know what's going to work sometimes, and sometimes you think, oh my gosh, I think this is going to work, and it doesn't, and then other things will absolutely surprise you.
Yeah, let's have a look at a clip from the exclusives.
Oh.
Because why not? Like you said, Nick Knowles. What went wrong? It performed badly in ratings terms, and it was critically...
Yeah, what went wrong? I think a couple of things. I think the first episode coincided with, I think, like the last... So, sorry, it started 3 weeks...
You give me context again?
Yeah, because
okay.
I think it's important. It started 3 weeks before The Apprentice finished. And do you know what? The Apprentice is the gold standard of those types of shows. So I think, quite rightly, it was compared to that. And I think, quite rightly, it was unfavourably said it wasn't as good as The Apprentice. I think that's all fair enough. So I think the timing of it didn't help. I think that in the end, we were in a world that is quite elitist, and really our audience don't massively care about the world of sort of getting celebrity scoops in journalism. Is quite a rarefied, very London thing, and I think I underestimated how alienating that is for our audience. I'll be really honest now, Rick.
Yes, no, I appreciate it.
So I think you know, I didn't commission it thinking it was going to be a disaster,
No.
so I was disappointed.
I've just got a quote from the Telegraph. They said, "Is there no?"
The Telegraph, yeah, because they're
Yeah.
full of readers who want to watch ITV2.
No, it's just it's
Brilliant.
They pose a question. Is there no human activity, however sleazy, that cannot be shoehorned into a reality show format? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think there is.
Okay, well, commission it. Let's move on to Mark Wright's Hollywood Nights. We can actually have a look at a bit of it. I quite enjoyed that. Do you think?
So did quite a few people?
Yes.
That was not an unmitigated disaster?
No, it was a mitigated disaster. Do you think?
No, that's harsh.
Yeah, I know.
That is harsh.
I know. Has structured reality sort of found its limits with a show like
You know,
that?
I think in that show, look, with all new series, particularly when they're formatted, I think the first couple of episodes we didn't get the format right. And actually, as the series progressed, we got to grips with what it was supposed to be and what it was trying to say. So definitely the first couple of episodes were a bit like, oh my gosh, what am I watching? I don't really know how much of this is acted, how much of it is real. And that clearly meant that it met with a bit of criticism because people said, I don't quite know what I'm watching, and obviously not in a good way. But on balance, in the end, the show did very respectably for us. We love Mark Wright. He's coming back to do Take Me Out the Gossip. He's doing an ITV1 show. We'll still carry on working with him. You know,
Will there be another Hollywood Nights?
there was never ever going to be another Hollywood Nights, but I do want to do another series with Mark Wright. You know, you can't go and do Hollywood again, but maybe we'll take this and place it somewhere else.
It didn't attract as much of the Towie audience as you would have hoped, though, did it? Why was
Yeah,
that?
I suppose so. I don't honestly know. I mean, you know, I think it would be fair to say that Mark Wright was absolutely a star that came out of Towie without a shadow of a doubt. So I have no real explanation as to why the audience didn't necessarily just transfer over.
I'm going to read out a couple of tweets from members of the public. Potentially the worst thing I've ever seen. ITV2 have genuinely created something awful. Stop it now.
That's what some people say about
One
La
more.
Vida Loca.
One more. Whoever was the commissioner at ITV2 for the Mark Wright show,
I read
better
that one.
bring a bin bag to work
Yeah.
tomorrow, clear your desk.
I read that one. Do you know what? It's only telly.
Let's do one more. I imagine whoever signed that budget off is crying over their P45.
No, because
they?
I'm still here. No, I was never crying over my P45 and it's yet to be delivered, but it might be there tomorrow.
Okay. How important or embarrassing is Twitter reaction to you?
Do you know what? I think by definition, Twitter elicits a lot of negative
Yeah.
responses. So I think you have to remember that. Of course it's important because it's direct feedback, so it's really painful, but I think you always have to take one step back as well.
Is it, I've sort of heard previously that you're relatively uninterested in utilising social media in your shows. Is that fair?
I think that's a bit unfair. I think it's all... Honestly, I mean, I'm very old-fashioned. I always think about the TV programme first. And if it's good, I honestly believe the rest will follow. So I've always say, what's the TV idea? Does it work? If it's successful, success breeds success.
So you're not someone who needs people to come in and say, this is a multi-platform idea, this is why it will work here.
Not necessarily. If that is part of the show's idea and integral to it and, you know, editorially justified, absolutely. But if someone just says, I'm coming here because this is going to exist in that, I'm always going to say, but what is the television programme? What is the hub? What is the nub of what we're trying to get to? Is it going to engage our audience?
Do you find it interesting how other controllers use Twitter, say, like Stuart Murphy?
I love Stuart. So, you know, every man to themselves. It's totally up to him. I really like Stuart and respect him a lot.
Do you think that ITV2 is taking risks? And I'm going to just sort of hoist you with your own petard.
Have you seen what's coming up this autumn?
Well, so you said last year, when quite a lot of your schedule is working, it creates an environment for taking risks. That was August last year. Do you think you have taken risks in the past year?
You should never believe what I say. Well, listen, I have got a show coming up in a few weeks' time called Top Dog Model.
Mm-hmm. Has Alan Partridge been in pitching?
Exactly. That is monkey tennis, isn't it? It's insane. But that's what, you know, you've got to take risks. Of course you have. And, you know, arguably, from what you've said previously, people thought I was mental to commission some of the stuff I have done. That's the definition of risk. You're going to play high, you're going to score high sometimes, and you're going to fail completely. You can't take risk if you're not going to take failure. You can't do it. And so, you know, we've got some stuff coming up in the autumn. I've got commissioned some stuff for next year. Honestly, with the best one in the world, I think they're all going to work, but of course they're not all going to work. So if half of them work, then hopefully I've done a good job.
So half is a good return.
Well, obviously I'd like more, but I think you have to manage expectations. You know, I think you just don't know when something's going to land and if it's going to take fire. I think you can sense a feeling, like, you know, obviously it's a bit like when you're pregnant and everyone around you is pregnant. I commissioned Top Dog Model in April, I think, or March, and then Pudsey and Ashley won Britain's Got Talent, and I keep seeing dogs everywhere. I'm like, oh my God, this is in the zeitgeist, I've really got it. Who knows? Who knows? In a couple of weeks, we'll find out whether I backed the right horse or I didn't. But I've got a good feeling about it, and in the end, I think I'm paid for my instinct, my experience, and my judgment, and shoot me if I get it wrong, but hopefully I'll get it right some of the time as well.
And we can have a look at some of your upcoming shows, in fact. So Top Dog Model we spoke about.
Yeah.
Girlfriends is a show that was 3.
Yeah, so it's an Israeli format that was a hit show in Israel called 3, and it takes 3 girls. It's sort of the polar opposite of Take Me Out. It's a much more forensic, detailed look at love and relationships, and these 3 girls live together for a period of time, and they really are looking for a lifelong partner. So it's very, very detailed. They start with 100 men, and they finish with, well, let's see what they finish with. And then the clip after that was Switch.
Yes.
So Switch is our new drama for the autumn. It's got an amazing cast. Lacey Turner, Nina St. White, Hannah Toynton, Phoebe Fox, Caroline Quentin's in it. It's about a group of girls who come to live in Camden, and they're part of a witches' coven. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. And then the last clip was a comedy. It's always nerve-wracking saying that. No, it is. But it's always nerve-wracking saying that. So yeah, so I've commissioned my first comedy, and that will be on air next year. It's called Plebs. It's written by Sam Leifer and Tom Basden. And it's about, everyone knows about the emperors of ancient Rome, but what about the sort of wastrels who didn't really have a job and were just trying to arrive from the suburbs in Rome looking to get laid? And that's what it's about.
It must be exciting having your first sitcom.
Yeah, really exciting, honestly. Yeah, I've been looking for one for ages, and as everyone knows who's got anything to do with that game, it does take a while. But I don't want to tempt fate, but I think we're onto something really special with Plebs. I think it's really fantastic. The team on and off screen, Dean McKeekan's in it. I mean, the team are just amazing, and it feels properly unique. I mean, I know we all say that, we all go, this is really distinctive. But honestly, this is bonkers. It's set in ancient Rome. That is a risk, isn't it, Rick?
Yeah.
Even in your book.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Yeah, so it's set in ancient Rome.
But I'm very confident.
Yeah, no, I feel confident as well. But, you know, I'm just going to put it out there, and hopefully the audience love it as much as I do.
And do you think, because sometimes sitcoms take a little while to bed in, so The In-Betweeners did relatively well in its first series, but it really built and built. Will you be prepared to do that with Plebs?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with The In-Betweeners, I think episode 4 got like 400,000, and I was shitting myself because I'd already recommissioned it before it even went on air. And I thought, oh, holy shit, this is a massive mistake. But I think you're right. I think you have to know and feel intrinsically there's something there that's worth persevering with, and you just have to leap in and make that commitment.
There's something that we didn't see in there, which is the resort, which I think they're filming at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us a bit about that.
So basically, it's the sort of team behind Educating Essex, and it's taking that fixed rig camera technique and putting it onto the lively resort in Magaluf. Now, you've all been there. It's basically the crux of the stories are what it's like to go away on holiday for the first time as a group of mates away from your parents. And I think you can write the rest of the script there because I think you know what's going to happen. But by using the fixed rig thing, what we're trying to get, we hope, is more nuanced conversations as well as inevitably what you expect will happen. Fingers crossed.
You mentioned Switch, which has got a fantastic cast, and drama is synonymous with the ITV brand. Was it important to you to bring in an original homegrown hit to ITV2?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously predates me, and I can't quite remember when it was commissioned, but Secret Diary of a Call Girl on ITV2, so I think it was probably about 4 and a bit years ago, I think, was obviously a big hit. And I firmly believe, and so it could be scripted comedy or drama, I think you need standout scripted hits in order to be taken properly seriously as a channel. So it is very important to me.
And what about the sort of perception of ITV2? Because it feels like E4 and BBC Three have quite a real relevance to young people. ITV2 is broader. Where do you want to position it?
Well, it's weirdly enough, sort of in between E4 and BBC Three. So E4 on one end of the spectrum, I think its tone is quite clever and cool and can be a bit arch and sometimes a bit sneery, but that's absolutely legitimate. I mean, I can say that. That's where it sits over there.
You know I work for them, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And BBC Three, that's a good thing. You know I loved E4. Yeah. Loved E4. And then BBC Three sits this end, which obviously, because of its public service broadcasting commitment, has to do something slightly different and does, I think, serious factual and factual for young people absolutely brilliantly. So we do sit somewhere in the middle, and I think there is space somewhere in the middle. I think it's fair to say that our sort of marketing image needs a bit of sprucing up, but the good thing is we've got the bloke that used to do it at Channel 4, the girl that used to do it at BBC, and they're here doing it for us. So I think that will make a really big difference to us. And I think once we do that, and together with the programmes that I'm commissioning, I hope you'll feel, if I am here this time next year, that I've delivered on some of those promises.
Do you worry that the fact that you have, or do you find it frustrating, I guess, that you have ITV1 repeats on ITV2 and they slightly dilute the brand in that sense?
I don't think they do dilute the brand. I mean, we are the only channel now, digital channel, that has those spin-off shows attached to the main channel. So I think that's kind of nice for us, actually. That puts us in quite a unique position. And who wouldn't want repeats of Benidorm? It's a joy.
Yes, very true, very true. Where's your new talent coming from? It feels like Keith Lemon increasingly is moving into the mainstream with films and so on. He's got an ITV1 show, or had an ITV1 show. So who are your... and Mark Wright is maybe more presenting.
Yeah.
So
I think it's fair to say that, I've brought on Zoe Hardman, Laura Whitmore, a few people, but there's not enough. And I think I would love to have some more new faces on the channel to balance out absolutely some of the people who totally define the channel, like, Lee Francis.
And what about Peter Andre? He's got Bad Boyfriend Club, which sounds like a really good idea. Was there a show that sort of gave you the notion for it? Or?
I don't know quite where you're going, really.
No, I think Bad Boyfriend Club sounds fun.
Because
sounds like a fun
you host Tool Academy.
Oh, yeah, I do, yeah.
Yeah, well, gosh, our audience love Peter Andre. Honestly, they absolutely, unequivocally love Peter Andre. And I think by putting him in this kind of format, it isn't the same prism through which we normally watch him at home with his children, which equally people absolutely love. It's nice to be able to stretch him as well.
Are you actively sort of looking to, I don't know if the word is poach, but let's say poach talent from elsewhere?
No.
Good. Yeah, good. Solid answer. And in terms of acquisitions, it feels like it's quite a difficult market. Sky are obviously doing fantastically.
Yeah, they've got a ton of cash.
Yes, they have. Are you still going in looking for stuff?
Yeah, in fact, we've just bought some stuff. So we've bought our first drama for a while, and it's called 666 Park Avenue, and it's from the makers of Vampire Diaries and Gossip Girl, so obviously they've got a heritage with us anyway. And it's about an apartment block on the east side of Manhattan, and about a young couple that come from the Midwest to come and run the apartment block, and spooky, weird things happen. I think it's fair to say, I don't know if everyone knows in this room, but there's a thing called the LA screenings in May every year, where the big studios in America put out all their pilots, and I think it's fair to say that 666 was one of the shows that a lot of people wanted, so we're really chuffed to bits we've got it. I've also bought some comedy. I've bought a comedy from Fox called Ben and Kate, and the lead in that is a girl called Dakota Johnson, who is Melanie Griffiths and Don Johnson's daughter, and she plays the role of Kate. And Kate is the girl that sort of unfortunately fell pregnant and had a baby when she was very young, and she's in her mid-20s now, and her brother Ben turns up from nowhere. He's a bit hapless, a bit rubbish, and all over the place, and he comes and helps her out and looks after her baby and sort of becomes her Manny. And it's got really good laugh out loud moments. I think that might be quite fun for us. And it's sort of weird, actually. Running at ITV2, there is no scripted comedy on it. So clearly, it's the same thing I did when I arrived at E4. I want to commission some, but that takes longer. So I'm trying to buy some as well. So we've also bought a couple of other things from NBC. One's Up All Night with Christina Applegate, and the other one's Animal Practice, which has got a monkey in it.
I'm in.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Love a monkey.
Exactly.
Last year you said that you had some money that was unspent in your acquisitions pot. Is there still money burning a hole in your pocket?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm very good at my job because I always seem to get to this point of the year and I've still got a bit of cash to spend. I think I'm quite prudent is the only issue. Always. And also, what I don't like to do is commission, months and months in advance. I like to leave some decisions late in the day so we can be fleet of foot and something can just rock up and we go, yeah, we've got the cash to do it.
Moving away from ITV2 and onto ITV3 briefly. It's the second biggest digital channel in the UK, but there's not a lot of original content. Are there any plans to change this, or are you just quite happy with it ticking over as is?
There's not, to be honest with you, there's not plans to change that. It is so successful showing all of that amazing, amazing archive of ITV, principally ITV drama, and also the pipeline of ITV drama at the moment is so rich. The stuff that's on in terms of drama on ITV1 I think is incredible, and we've got all of that yet to play. So, I'm managing quite a few channels, and I think one of my jobs is to manage the budgets across all of those channels. And if I feel money is better spent elsewhere, I'm happy to divert it. And I think for ITV3, there's always an opportunity to do some one-offs and to do specials, but wholesale commissioning any drama, it's probably unlikely.
So ITV3, basically, it ain't broke. So
exactly.
ITV4 had an amazing year.
Yeah.
An incredible year.
It's been good.
This helped out no end.
It was amazing.
Been so chuffed.
Oh man, I can't tell you. My son woke up the following morning and said, "Mum, do you think I could be a champion cyclist now?" But it was just amazing. I think everyone had tipped off that. Everyone thought he was going to win, so I don't think it was that unexpected. But it was still amazing. And then the Olympics, and gosh, it's just phenomenal, isn't it? We've got La Vuelta on at the moment, which is the Tour of Spain. We've got the Tour of Britain coming later this year, in a few weeks' time, in fact. And Bradley Wiggins is going to be riding in that, so it's almost like a tour of honour. So that's just phenomenal and fantastic for us. And I think ITV4 feels like, cycling is one of the sports that's its thing, I think.
Is it slightly irritating for you that they've got the old Sky all over them?
Let's say it's mutually beneficial, hey. Listen, look, Team Sky have put a ton of cash into cycling. I think I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I think it's incredible they've done that. And we show the Tour de France, and I think what's really nice for ITV4 is it is one of the few things on ITV4 that we get proper attribution for. Yeah. Our audience and people and critics do understand that we show the Tour de France, so I think it's good for both of us.
Where do you see ITV4? What do you see ITV4 as? Is it a sports-based channel? Is it a channel that has sport on occasionally and other stuff? What's your idea?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I tried to do when I first arrived, but I've never run a channel or acquired sports before, and I didn't realise it took as long as it did to acquire sports events. But one of the first things that I did was I looked at it in a sort of graphic way and realised that the peaks and troughs coincided with the sporting events. So people come in for a certain sporting event and disappear. And what I wanted to do was offer more consistently and level out the peaks and the troughs. I'm obviously not there yet, but we bought the French Open. The French Open did amazingly well for us, and also reputationally was just fantastic. So, I'm striving to put more sport on there, but but it's not a sports channel, and I don't want it to be. It has amazing films on it. It has some great archive content. It has Sweeney. It has loads of different things on it. It's sort of, you know, a channel for men with sport high in the mix, which is not a pithy way of describing it, but that's sort of what I want it to be. I just want the consistency of the sports events to be across the year a bit more, really.
So that's what you're trying to work on, so that people know that it is the home of certain things like the
Exactly. So the IPL, French Open, Tour de France, TT, there's a few of them now, and we don't need that many of them because we're not trying to be a sports channel, but it's just nice to have a few sort of pedigree ones like those.
And last year you said, so Richard Bacon is going to be the face of ITV4.
I still love him.
Is that a continuing relationship?
Well, I tell you the painful truth about doing this job is you have to make decisions that, you know, you don't really want to make, but you have to make them for the good of the channel. And we haven't yet cracked, away from the sports commissions we do, which are really working very well for us. Like, you know, we do docs like Lionel Messi, the greatest football player in the world. We did 3 Ali docs. All of those do brilliantly for us. We did a Bradley Wiggins story. We haven't really cracked yet the commissioning that is slightly away from that. And Richard Bacon was absolutely an attempt to do that. And I, you know, put my money where my mouth was, in so much as I commissioned it again to give it another go. But in the face of it not working, you can't keep saying it's all right to commission a show that's not really delivering. So I haven't really cracked what that other commission is, so that's all to play for.
So, but you are still looking for more sort of talent
definitely.
Shows on.
Definitely, because I think there is absolutely a hole there, and I haven't quite plugged it yet. CITV,
it's been reported that you have plans to reposition the job that channel does. How are you going to go about doing it?
I think there's lots of things we need to do. I think it's really hard running CITV in the face of the might of CBBC and CBeebies. They are so dominating. It is phenomenal. And that's just in my household. They completely dominate. And so, you know, you have
teeth in your house.
You have to be honest about it. So I think the first thing I have to do, and which is what we're doing now, is just create a more consistent schedule. What we used to do is flip in and out of preschool and school age, in and out of term times, and to be honest with you, it just couldn't become habit forming for anybody. And as anybody with young kids knows, that up until they go to school, the adult has the remote control, so you have to talk to the adult and get them happy with the choices you're making on behalf of their preschool kids. And then after that, school age kids control the remote. And so, you know, what I'm trying to do is just have some more consistency there. I would really, really, really like to commission some funny stuff for CITV. Really, really would like to. And I've gone down the road with a couple of things. We haven't quite got there yet, but that would be one of my ambitions as well for CITV.
And so a key thing is to try and sort of earn the trust and support of parents of the kids.
And you know, and that is tough because, you know, CBeebies and CBBC are undeniably huge. They just are.
But you are open to new original commissions from
definitely we don't commission much. Unfortunately, we very, very rarely fully fund it, and that is unfortunately the nature of children's programmes across the board. But we do commission 9 or 10 shows a year, so it's not an insignificant amount. So it's not like CITV doesn't commission original shows, it does. I think what we've got to do though is a bit of what I've done at other channels, which is commission probably a little bit less and fund it a bit better in order to create a bigger hit.
Let's talk about you.
No.
How are you coping with running 4 channels? You said you were dying on your feet last year.
I'm knackered.
Yeah, still knackered?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm doing my job very well because I'm really knackered all the time.
That probably means you are doing it well.
I don't know. It's great fun, but it's really, really tiring. I don't think this just shows you how stupid I am. I don't think I realised when I took the job on that your audience runs a gamut from cradle to grave, and you've got to watch so much telly just in terms of competition to keep up with what everyone else is doing, let alone your own output. It is pretty phenomenal. But anyway, it's a laugh. It beats doing other jobs, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. What do you wish that you commissioned in the last 12 months? What has sort of stood out for you?
Horrible Histories. I think it's such a perfect programme. I absolutely love it.
Any specific regrets from the last 12 months?
I wish I'd managed to get a comedy on air by the end of this year, but I didn't. And I think I've made the right choice in the one that we've commissioned. So
When
I
will
think it'll be
Plebs
worth the
air?
wait.
Beginning of next year?
Yeah, sometime next year. Yeah, exactly.
And crucially, if you could be controller of any other channel,
I
what
don't
would you
want
go
to
for?
be. No, I don't want to be.
No?
I'm happy where I am.
Happy with your 4 channels?
Happy where I am.
Yeah.
I just like a bit more sleep, but other than that, I'm happy where I am. I'd like to see the kids a bit more, you know. Don't be a stranger to my children, but other than that, I'm happy.
So I think we can open up to the floor if anyone's got any questions, and I'll sift through on this thing and see if there's any anonymous questions.
Yeah, those are the
for
good
you.
ones,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they'll be the most
But
challenging.
if anyone wants to, yeah, there you go. This lady here in the green.
Hello, hi. You mentioned how pleased you were to bring Switch and Plebs to the network. How much room is there for other projects in that area, or is it a kind of one in, one out
Well,
process?
as Rick alluded to, I've still got cash to spend. I've definitely got slots for next year. Obviously, it wouldn't be for this year because otherwise we'd know. But yeah, absolutely, definitely. I would like a couple of comedies on in a year, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. But equally, even though I say that, and my job is to be contrary, I'm not going to just commission another comedy because that's what I've said. I'm going to wait for the right thing. Hence why I've, spent as long as I have getting to the decision I have done in order to commission Plebs.
Anyone else? This gentleman.
Hello, Angela. Jake from Broadcast Magazine.
Hello, Jake. How are
hello,
you?
how's it going? All right. You said you might look at reconfiguring the way TOWIE's scheduled next year.
Yeah, I think you should. I think, as Rick said, when you've got returning series, it's always a challenge, and I think you can't just sit back and just take the status quo every time. So we haven't come to a decision with how it will get configured next year, but it's absolutely in discussion about how we play it out over the year.
Lady with the hair.
Lady with the...
Can you tell us the format of the 3 show, the dating Israeli?
Yeah, so basically we have cast 3 girls who are living, it's just about to finish, I think. Kate's sitting 2 people away from just about to finish filming. And they start with 100 men. So it's 3 women start with 100 men, and they whittle them down, they get them down to 6 each, and then you spend more and more time with the 6 in turn, and then you just get more and more detailed, and they just keep whittling them down over the course of 8 episodes. It's a really straightforward format, but I think tonally it's slightly different in that it isn't about conflict. These girls are really supportive of each other, and I've seen the first episode now, and what's really lovely is Emma Willis is hosting it, and she seems like the perfect person to host it. There's a real camaraderie there. They're really supporting each other in the choices they make, and they're not trying to play this for conflict, or I want that man and you want that man. It's not about that. It's about them supporting each other through this process. So I think tonally, that's why it feels right for ITV2.
Were you specifically looking for a different angle on dating? Because a lot of the dating stuff is quite confrontational.
Do you know what? The email from Stephen Lambert, who picked up the format, to me said, I know you don't want another dating show, but just hear me out. And I wasn't actually specifically looking for a dating show, but I did watch the Israeli version, and I thought they did an absolutely amazing job. And I thought in the hands of Stephen, hopefully we could replicate some of that success. So I wasn't necessarily, particularly because, ITV1's got Take Me Out and we've got Take Me Out the Gossip. And, that's a fantastically huge show. And for a while I struggled to think, oh my gosh, what would sit alongside it and complement it? And actually I think this is the perfect complement for that.
Any more for any more?
Oh, bless you, Claire.
Last chance. Ollie.
Hi there. Is there anything else in your heart of hearts that you're secretly hunting for?
Yeah,
on a sort of broader
yeah,
scale?
definitely. I tell you what we haven't cracked is the 9 o'clock hours closed episodes. We've got quite a few, like Girlfriends, and even like Top Dog Model, that are, overarching narratives, elimination type shows. for want of a better description. And what we haven't cracked, or what I haven't cracked yet, is those things like Sunsea and Suspicious Parents, Don't Tell the Bride, those things that are closed at, that are hours at 9 o'clock, that have a really clearly defined format but deliver a different cast of characters every week. So that's absolutely a need for us at 9 o'clock.
There we go. That's it then. You've met the controller. She was Angela Jain. She was really nice.
Thank you, everybody.